You look beautiful.
Thank you.
The bump class, it says it's an expert guide to pregnancy, birth and beyond, and it's you and your lovely sister.
Yes,
because
exactly.
She's a doctor, of course.
She's a GP,
yeah.
and we sort of experienced motherhood at the same time. Her son, Otto, is just 9 months younger than my son.
What was the reason that both of you wanted to do this? Did you feel there was a gap here?
We did,
yeah.
and Chiara, as a doctor, she was seeing a lot of women who were slightly unprepared for birth, but also for what comes afterwards, which I think is arguably the harder one.
That's very true.
Yeah. You know, you're very well supported usually by midwives and doctors in hospital, and then you leave with the most precious thing in the world.
And you're
think,
like, eek.
There's no operating instructions.
It's true.
So it's a huge responsibility, but also we wanted to kind of get rid of a bit of the sort of fear and negativity surrounding birth. There's some sort of weird thing that as soon as you're pregnant, people see a bump and then decide to tell you the worst horror story they've ever heard,
yeah.
which is quite often inaccurate, and I don't think it's particularly helpful. So we see a lot of girls who come onto the bump class really scared about what's going to happen to them, and they leave saying, you know what, I can do it, and
yeah.
I know what might happen, and I know what's true and what's not true. And I think that's very, very empowering for women.
No, very much so, because you've been doing this class and people
yes.
people come along and enjoy the bump class. It's just such a good thing. And again, making friends, because sometimes
yes.
it can be quite isolating
yeah.
if you get pregnant and maybe you've got to leave work or you're on your own.
Absolutely.
It's hard. So it's good to see other women going through the same thing.
Yeah, it gives them such a huge amount of support, and especially now with kind of different sort of social media networks, it means that they can communicate. Brilliant. I was talking to a girl the other day and she said our WhatsApp group is most communicative between sort of 1 and 3 a.m. when everyone's doing the nighttime feed, which is so nice because that time of day can be really lonely.
I know, absolutely, because we get a lot of women who are maybe breastfeeding or they're sitting with their babies watching the show, and they
yes.
always say that's their little hour.
Yes.
You know, from 8:30 till 9:30, they just sit and yeah, just have some me time,
yeah.
which I think is very important.
Absolutely.
Now, we've obviously had your lovely husband in.
Yes.
And with the dog. The dog was a huge hit.
Yes, naughty storm.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And the two of you, I mean, you've got a fantastic marriage, you've got great kids, but you did, as we know, you had a stillbirth, which
yes.
I guess you don't get over it, you just learn to deal with it, don't you? You really
yeah.
do. You just learn to sort of get through the day, I guess.
Yeah, and accept it, really. I think I spent the first few weeks sort of thinking, I can't believe this is happening. Is this
yeah.
a dream? So a large part of, I think, is the adjustment.
Yeah, and doing that. And you said that you did a memory box for you and for your kids as well, because the children lost
their brother.
They did.
They
really did.
And we talk about him a lot. You know, what I learned early on, and which I'm really fortunate to have learned, is that it's probably not something you should not talk about. And actually, as soon as we started talking about it with the children, and you know, talking about him and being honest with them about what had happened. I mean, not in too much gory detail.
No, of course.
But also so that it wasn't this sort of taboo subject that they didn't feel that they could ask about. It made that acceptance a lot more easy for us, for all of us.
Ben was obviously overseas. He got back immediately. I mean, he got the first plane back and was obviously with you. But to have her support too must have been really good.
Yeah, no, she's really supported me through all my labours, actually, and very different outcomes. And I think it was tough for her because I was under general anaesthetic, so I was sort of spared sort of the worst of it. And
Marina, you nearly died. I mean, it was terrible. You were really, it was touch and go for a minute, wasn't it?
It was, and I only really learnt that afterwards. But
of course, because the person going through it doesn't realise that at the time it's everybody else round about them, isn't it?
Exactly,
it's
and that would have been really tough for Ben because he was getting on a plane and he didn't know what the outcome was going to be when he landed. He had no communication from Canada.
Oh, that's awful. Awful. What a journey that must have been for him. But the thing is, you two are very, very strong and you can talk about those things. And that's the thing. You have to do that, don't you? You absolutely have to do that. And I know that, you know, he's in your thoughts all the time, the wee one. Of course he is, and you'll always remember him.
Absolutely.
You know, you had some time together, I guess. You were able to do that?
Yes, yeah, we held him. And, you know, it was great having Chiara there because she said, you know, I really think it's important that you meet him and you hold him. And at the time, I did not want to do that. And yet, it's something I'm really grateful for because you only have a finite amount of time to make that decision. And I was really lucky that I had someone I trusted to sort of say, I think this is going to be best for you. And I think that was an important part of recovery.
No, absolutely. And I know that the book is dedicated to all of your kids.
Yes.
Including Willem. He is dedicated to him too. And it's kind of, I mean, if you're going through, especially I would imagine with this book, the first pregnancy.
Yes.
It explodes all of those myths.
Yes.
That's the great thing about it. It really is. Marina, thank you. Good luck. It's out today, isn't it?
It's out today, yes.
The bump class is out today and it's really chock full of common sense, which is what you need. You really do. I wish I'd been around when I was pregnant all those years ago. Thank you so much. Thank you very much indeed.